I have 15 minutes and 50 seconds. I hope I will not exactly live up to that, because what I'm talking about here is that when you work with a sensitive and difficult subject like CSR, I hope that you are going to fail sometimes. I think we have a mentality. I used to be an entrepreneur, and when you start up a company in Denmark, it's very different than if you start up in Silicon Valley in the US. In Silicon Valley, they appreciate if you go bankrupt. It shows that you have tried, and you've tried to achieve something. Back here, it's like a taboo, and it's something, you don't really want to talk about it. It's shameful for the family. It creates conflicts in the family. You might lose your house and everything. All of these terrible things are associated with failing, and yes, it can be a part of it, but it's also a really exciting journey. And the same with CSR. If you want to use CSR, as Wayne Visser was talking about, to really innovate your business model, then you're going to have attempts that will fail. So if you have this lean machine of a company that is moving forward and having growth, then you might have a hard time as a CEO or convincing the CEO that you should try to adjust because this is important for your organization, because he'll be or she'll be so afraid that it's going to mess up the good business. So I want to take some of the seriousness out of this and give you two good examples of innovation and failing that I really loved. I found them on YouTube. First on YouTube, I searched for the word innovation, and in the top 10, this was one of the really cool innovations. I thought it's a clever guy.
Now this might be look just like rubber glove and a plastic bottle, but I show you is much more, because when you give squeeze, you get middle finger that say, fuck you.
Beautiful, right? And the other example is, I think, from the weapon industry. And that is an example of how you can also fail when you are launching new ideas. I don't know what he's saying, but I'm guessing it's not very nice words. Yes. So why do you need it? I don't know how your individual companies work with CSR, but I know there are written so many of these novels called CSR reports, where you try to document everything. But they are not reports that are engaging the people that you work with, that's for sure. Maybe some of the management will read them, but the people buying your products and all others do not read those. So why are you writing them? Some can be governmental rules. I think the other one is that is an attempt to show that we are not failing. But that's mistaken, because you're already failing. Another example that's maybe 10 years ago, but it's still occurring sometimes, is this idea about being green and being perfect. And it's really interesting, because when you look at international research, this is what consumers want. Many consumers have a disgust of business after the financial crisis. So what do they want? They want companies that look more similar to themselves. And how are we? Well, yes, I'm standing here, and it might seem like, he's doing everything great. He's co-organizing a big event. He has a nice job. I don't have a girlfriend at the moment, but if I had and she was pretty, that would be a good part of the story too. And I used to set up a company that was very successful with 40 staff members in 8 countries. But I also had stress that caused a depression, and I had 1 year which was true nightmare. And when you start sharing those kinds of stories, people listen to you in a different way, because they understand, that person is just like me. They have their ups and their downs. And it's the same with companies. Companies consist of people. So why are companies so eager all the time to try to convince? Why are they so afraid of not just showing and then letting the audience decide? So human brands. And then I brought an example of an organization from the US, Domino's Pizza. They produce pizza. They had, thus the name, they had problems with how could they get their employees, like at McDonald's, standing behind creating the pizza, feeling empowered, feeling proud of what they do, but also relating them to the customers. And then they wanted to develop their product because they had huge problems with their pizza. It was not good enough. They had a lot of critique on the social media. And then this little guy is saying innovation happens in the gap. something I've stolen from KaosPilots where I work. And the idea is basically when you start to innovate with CSR, you don't have to come up with the brilliant idea because nobody does. You don't invent the wheel again. What you do is you take two old ideas you know, and then you try to combine them in a new way. And that's what Domino did, and they created like sort of an instant feedback culture, and this is how it worked.
I don't ever want to send out a bad pizza. It's got my name on it. Pizza Tracker lets you track your order at every stage on Domino's.com, and it lets you leave a review instantly. Tracker gives accountability. It lets you know if Jess is making your pizza, I'm Jess, and I'm making your pizza.
Right now, we have one coming up, so that's a good review.
We've got some 5s, which is awesome. We've got some 1s and 2s, which is not so awesome.
Good reviews and bad reviews, they make us better.
So we want to know how we're doing.
What if more people saw the reviews?
If more people in the store, or...
Whoa!
Are you kidding me? That is insane. I never thought I'd see my name scrolling through Times Square.
The reviews are up, so get our $5.99 deal online and tell us how we did.
I think that raises the bar just a little bit higher.
So Domino's buy one of the most expensive advertising slots in the world, Times Square, and they allow their consumers using Twitter to tweet exactly what they want, and they put it up there. They're not saying we make the best pizza. They're letting more than 80,000 people on their Twitter tell the world what they're doing and trying to innovate and become better from that, and they're including their staff in this. And then I'm going to talk about why I think this whole thing about responsible business is so vital and so important in your companies, especially the ones that are growing, and that will happen hopefully after this crisis. Your companies and organizations will start to grow again. And that's a big challenge for an organization because that will mean hiring, we've heard some, and we're going to work with it later, hiring new people. One thing is what kind of people are you hiring, out of what values. The others are how do you make them believe in the same things that you believe in. You might know Simon Sinek, who is a famous TED talker, about his golden circle, and in the center of this is the why. And I took a little part of what he's saying about organization and growth. And this is the dilemma he describes, where I think you can use CSR hopefully as a tool to meet this requirement.
When an organization is founded, all organizations are founded on the same basic principles. There's some sort of measurement. It's often money, but it can be anything. And then there's time. And when an organization is founded, what they do and why they do it are inextricably linked. There's usually some founder or some small group of founders that are able to put their vision into words, and their passion inspires others to come and join them in pursuit of something greater than all of themselves. And they trust their guts, and off they go, and it's an amazing experience. The problem is, as they grow, as what they do becomes more successful, they can no longer rely on themselves. They have to now hire somebody, who hires somebody, who hires somebody, who hires somebody, who hires somebody, who has to make a decision. Based on what? And what they do starts to grow, that metric. The problem is, why they do it starts to go fuzzy.
And why they do it is why people love their job. And why you do it is why people buy your products. 80% is irrational thoughts, emotions. That is what you react on. It's exactly what responsible business is all about, as we heard before, moral ethics, but it's also what you believe in. And if this is not clear, why should you expect in a growth period that your employees really care? I know why management cares. They have often been there for a long time. They get the good salary. They have the influence. So of course they care. But what about the rest? Why are they motivated to go to work every day? Then I want to give you a few examples on how companies can use this why, or how can you open up your communication, become transparent, and get people involved rather than trying to convince them. This movie, I think, is an example on how a company is trying to convince you that they're good.
Le soleil, le vent et l'eau. couvrons tous nos besoins en électricité avec des énergies indigènes à 100% renouvelables. C'est pour ça que nous nous engageons tous les jours dans toute la Suisse.
Sunshine, we all love that. Children, we all love them. Fresh water, forest, we all love that. But I don't believe that ad. It's just symbols. Like maybe you saw the last Danish bank advert. Why did it get so much critique? It was symbols. People don't believe it, and we don't want to be convinced. Instead, we want to be shown. So downplay these lofty statements on values and culture. They are good, but they are a part of often the management, the executives that are then giving some direction for their work, which is good. But I think keep it real and down to earth. Like you wouldn't maybe expect this kind of innovative CSR all the way from China, but actually China are far ahead in a number of areas within CSR, further ahead than we are here in Europe. This is an organic farm called Yimu Qian. They are showing the why in the sense that as a consumer, you can trace everything back. So you can track any food item back to the field in which it was grown, and customers can track how their vegetables are growing. That's 110% transparency. It's showing they're not trying to convince you that they're making the best possible organic food, and they're not showing you symbols with sun and so on. They're actually showing you what they're doing. There's an American online supermarket that has started, instead of showing, so when you want to show eggs, and you know there are the good and the bad eggs that you can buy, and you don't want those eggs where the chicken don't have any space and so on. But that's difficult for the consumers to know because the branding companies are so good at making it look green. So instead, this online supermarket has started to show the entire supply chain. So you don't see the wrapping that the advertising agency has done. You see the way that this chicken ended up at your table. I think that's really inspiring, and that's an online supermarket going another way to give this transparency without trying to convince us, and I'm tired of being convinced. Starbucks, they are also inspirational in the way they are reporting because they are not afraid of using a word like progress. On one sense, progress can be a very easy word because in CSR, first it's like you have to be perfect, but then the second wave might risk being saying, oh, but we are on our way, we are working on it, and that becomes a positive thing, but that's also a problem because who is not on their way? We are always on our way towards something. But they are making it very visible, what kind of progress they're making and what are their goals. And they're doing it in a way where you can actually see it visually, graphically, and not just in words. And that's really lovely because not all of their consumers are the best possible readers. And if they want their end consumers to read this, it's important to communicate it in a way where we understand it. Then I was wondering if I should bring this slide because, it's an innovative way of combining things, but I just wanted to, I didn't know at this time of the day how serious or corporate this event was. And I come from sort of a hippie household, I could say, at least part of the family would agree. And so I'm wearing this shirt, and yesterday I met with the Crown Prince, and I don't think they've ever seen a guy in this like worn out clothes. So I thought if this is becoming too corporate, I just want to show a funny example of how you can combine two ideas, sort of loosen up the mood. So you all know these Save the World videos, I think, and you probably know about this trend course marketing, where you combine a product and a course. And then there are these great, crazy Finnish guys that have made something called Radiate. And I think the music video speaks for itself.
In Norway kids are freezing. It's time for us to care. This heat's enough for nowhere.
Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Africa for Norway. It's just this thing about flipping things around that makes us smile and believe in whatever they are doing. So my 4 pieces of advice, or trying to look out into the future, would be human in your communication, in the way you work with each other, always. Try to ask the why, even in decisions where the how and the what are the ones that are normally filling up your mind, because we are executing every day. We are doing things. We are not so much being and just taking us time to think. So remember to ask why you're doing it as individuals. Keep it real. And I think be innovative. Why? Because it can create new business opportunities, and because it's fun. Thank you.